guys, welcome to Cult Film Review, the podcast where we discuss the films you love, but no one else gets, and we see if they still hold up. Tonight, jump on your motorcycles, stay away from tiny gray Hulk psychic kids, and get ready for a bunch of mispronunciations, because we're talking about the 1988 cyberpunk anime classic, Akira. So let's just start the show.
Mispronunciations. It's mispronunciations.
Mispronunciations. See, I already pronounced something wrong.
Was it?
Your Hollywood system stole our sex and co-opted our violence, so there's nothing left for our kinds of movies.
I did not hit her. It's not true.
Klopex? Klopex. Klopex.
Up yours, baby.
Me and Bubba, my little brother, listen to you every night.
Where in the hell are we?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Thanks for joining us, guys. We really appreciate it. Just do us a quick favor. Jump over to iTunes, fill us out a review, give us 5 stars, tell us how great we are, and we'll give you a shout out at the end of the show. I don't think we have any new ones for today, but that's okay, because we know you still care. Also, just go to our website, check it out, www.cultfilmandreview.com. Bunch of great content on there. All of our episodes are on there because someone said, finally, you guys are doing, because we're doing Akira tonight, they said, finally, you're doing an animation film. And I'm like, we've done animation films before, Wizards. You know, so go check those out. So tonight we're talking about Akira. Came out in 1988. It had a budget of 1.8 billion yen. Not sure how much that is, but probably a lot.
That's like $12.
You have not been introduced yet. It had a box office of 6.3 billion yen.
There you go. $13.
Was filmed in Japan. It has a rating of R, and it currently sits at an 87% on Rotten Tomatoes. If you don't know what it's about, it's a secret military project endangers Neo-Tokyo when it turns a biker gang member, Tetsuo, into a raging psychic-powered psychopath, and only 2 teenagers and a group of psychics can stop him.
Cool.
All right. So, as always, I am joined by the Cult Film Gang of Kyle Smith.
Hey, how's it going?
Chris Willenbrecht.
What's up?
And Michael Salustio.
Hello.
This is Kyle's pick. Kyle, why'd you pick this film?
I picked Akira because, I mean, you guys have all been saying that this month we need to pick, like, hardcore cult films. And, I mean, this is definitely a cult anime film. It's probably one of the... It's widely considered one of the best anime and sci-fi related anime films that's ever been made. And I didn't know if anybody here had seen it before, and I just wanted to see your reactions to it.
Well, that leads me to my next question. Who has everyone seen this film? Has no one seen this film? Who hasn't seen this film?
I have not seen this film.
So you are an Akira
I tend
version.
to shy away from anime, so I never checked it out.
Another reason why I picked it.
I had seen this film myself, but I hadn't seen this probably since I was 12 years old.
Yeah, I was trying to remember the first time I'd seen it because I distinctly remember seeing it when I was like 14 or 15, but I know I had seen it before that when I was much younger because my brother Ryan made some comment or something about how some scene scared me or something.
Yeah, I rented this bad boy on VHS.
Nice.
When your parents let you rent things they didn't know about.
Yeah, they saw a cartoon. They said, hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
This guy's got a pill on his jacket. Ain't no biggie.
No, what is that, Dr. Mario? That's all right.
Yeah, what is this, Dr. Mario? Yeah, you can rent that, Cody. Little baby Cody, go ahead. Little 12 years old, little 12-year-old little baby.
Nobody knows when Mario got his PhD, okay?
Mike, when had you seen this film? 30, 35?
Yeah. Probably about 15 years ago. God, I probably was like same age, like 12.
Yeah.
12. Wait, because this film came out when? 85?
Well, it came out in 89, but
89.
then there was a re-release that happened in 2001.
Right.
And it came back into theaters.
But it hit like, what, I would say like in the 90s is when I remember seeing it on VHS.
Yeah, it would have been like 90, 91 when it would have hit. Yeah.
It was a huge ordeal because the only way I probably would have ever heard of this movie was at school.
Yeah.
From the kids just talking about it.
I don't even know how I got around to watching this.
Neither do I. I don't remember how we got around to
but I've
renting
seen it a few times. I've come back to it a few times. This is probably my 4th or 5th time watching.
I just remember it making such big of a splash. It was like one of those things as a kid, like you had to see this movie.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't really recall why we bought it or why we picked it up. I just remember that we got it when it had to be one of those one of the summers when my dad used to drag us up to a video power store and do like the 20 for 20 deal. He'd swindle with the guy that was happened to be working. That was a dad deal. How about 20 VHSs for $20? The guy's like, oh, I don't care. Okay, just get out of here.
That's like the same thing. So all right, you're just renting more.
Hey man, those were $2.99 a pop. He was saving money.
Was it Tuesdays? Because they were 99 cents on Tuesdays.
Yeah, there was.
No, it was never Tuesdays when Dad
Never
took us
a
up
Tuesday.
there. It was never
That was a school
Tuesday.
night.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Well, it's summertime, so that wouldn't be the case.
So, anime film we really haven't really touched on too much. What is your general feelings on anime? Just I want to get a general feeling on anime in general from the. Let's just say general one more time.
You want to say general?
I do. From the group, I just want to know what your feelings on anime are. Just
You wanna direct one of us to
Any-
start?
just
Or
jump in
just
whenever
gotta
you guys.
Why don't you just start do
All
a
right, guys,
round
ready?
table?
1, 2, 3. Let's all start talking.
All right, Chris. Chris, what is your feelings on anime?
I don't know a lot about anime, and I just think that's because it never really interested me, so I didn't dig too deep into it. You know, I think when I was a kid, like the most that I ever really watched was like Aeon Flux or something like that. That was on MTV, you know, but even that didn't really like hook me. So my general feeling was not very interested.
Is Aeon Flux even an anime?
I don't. It's probably American.
I don't know.
It is.
That's the closest thing I can think of to anime, and I know
Just
I'll
pissed
prob-
off a lot of people, Chris.
That's fine. I might get booed for it. It's just not my thing. I'm just not into that style.
I don't know.
Anybody else that have feelings?
My experience with anime has been really. I'm very particular about what I watch. Like I'm not opposed to watching an anime film, but I prefer anime films that have like at least some kind of, I don't know, some kind of grounding of reality or some kind of level of like a drama type thing. Like there's been a couple that I've been like really excited about and watched because it's like a psychological like mindfuck kind of thing, but I just can't get on board with like the Gundam stuff with the robots and the
robots,
all that. I just can't. It's just too. It's too lacking of. It's all flash, and I don't feel like I get enough story out of it. Just
All
me
right.
personally. But
What about you, Mike? How do you feel about the anime?
I like anime. There's. I mean, it depends. There's a lot of anime out there.
There's so much.
But I like a good Miyazaki film. That's a
new word
like a
for me.
Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh yeah,
you know what
no,
I'm talking about.
So
But
something like that's good.
a little more
That
like
and Perfect
that's a little
Blue.
more like I hate to use the word Americanized because it's very Disney based. I think his style is very he borrows a lot from Disney. But like I like the Berserk series. That's a pretty good. It's a manga, but they did an anime of it. I always like that. And I'm not like a big like otaku kind of dude. I guess is the word to use, like a guy that's like really into anime. I'm not.
I thought
It's like a term, like for
I thought
somebody.
that term was for people who were like into the giant robot shit. Is
I don't know that
wrong?
it's. I think it's just anybody that's really into Japanese culture.
Somebody will correct us.
Probably. But yeah, like I like a good anime. God, what else? I mean, but I think we all actually do have an experience in anime. Like we all watch Voltron, right?
yeah.
I mean, we all watched like what were we talking about, Kyle, the other day? The samurai,
Oh, fuck
Ronin
me.
Warriors.
Ronin Warriors.
Yeah,
I loved that show when I was
yeah.
a kid growing up.
Their
I
action
think we've
figures were
all had
the shit. Sailor
an
Moon.
experience.
Well, we haven't
with
all
it.
had it because I haven't watched any of those shows.
You never watched Sailor Moon?
You never watched Voltron?
No, not really. Nope.
Pokemon.
And just to correct myself, it wasn't Aeon Flux was an American-made television show, but it was done by a Korean animator. So
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, wow. I like how Chris was just like, you know what? Fuck you.
Well, I was correcting myself. I didn't want to come off like because I really don't know that much about this genre. So.
I would say it's weird. Like when I was younger, I was probably more of an anime fan than I am now. Obviously, that love was started by Dragon Ball Z. I mean,
See, I never got into that show.
dude, I got so into
watched
it.
the shit out of
and
that.
then I watched it
get
as an
into it.
adult, wanted to punch my fucking face off.
Yeah.
Because
not
it's like,
something-
how many episodes do you need to power up, bro? How many episodes? Someone just fucking shoot him. Just shoot him because it's taken 6 years to power up.
Yeah. It's like 6 episodes where he's just like
tired of being led on.
He's trying to throw a punch.
But I mean,
he's just like the whole time going, Kaneko! Next week on Dragon Ball Z. Nada!
It is. It's like, and now Goku trains on the
on the space
magical
ball.
snake way or whatever the fuck it was.
but I mean that did lead me to other shows like Ranma 1/2, which I'm a big fan of. Trigun I like.
Yep.
Trigun's good.
Yeah, and then this movie
Cowboy Bebop is solid.
Very good one. Can't
great
believe we
series.
forgot that one.
So I mean, I don't know. Comparing those to again, this movie it's kind of hard because this was based off a manga, and then it's just I feel like they try to cram a lot into this.
I feel like you run into that issue most times when you're taking a manga and turning it into a film, because I mean most mangas they're relatively thick comics and they're like 30 volumes and it's like one movie, like, and they try to cram a lot of the stuff into it. So I definitely see your point on that in this movie. I did feel like there was that's like my biggest gripe in this movie is there was a couple subplots that you could have taken out and it didn't affect the main story, which I thought was like the shining star of the film. But then you like spent time on these little characters that didn't really play out or pay off in any way.
You know what? And I would like to get into that more when we come right back.
Twin ceramic rotor drives on each wheel. Let's see, and these are computer-controlled anti-lock brakes. Huh. 200 horses at 12,000 RPM.
You want to ride it, Tetsuo?
All right, let's hit it!
I customized that bike for myself. It's too wild. You couldn't handle it.
I don't see how you can ride something crazy like that, man.
I could.
If you want it so bad, then steal one yourself.
All right, guys, we are back. We're talking about Akira. Came out in 1988. It is an anime film. Let's just dive into this mammer jammer, shall we?
Yeah.
Mamma jammer.
Dive.
Get into it. There's a lot going on, and I feel like I have a lot of questions of, well, like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
So I'd seen this film before, and I remember having the same thoughts as a kid, like, what is going on? And I still have those same thoughts. So basically, it opens up with you're introduced to the kid, like the biker gang.
Kaneda.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kaneda and Tetsuo and their group of people.
Some other guys.
I forgot that other guy's name.
There's so many other guys that it's easy to forget
the only
names.
ones that really matter is Kaneda, Tetsuo, and that's really it. And then Kai, the love interest of Kaneda, and then I guess the general. Those are like really the main
psychic
players.
kids.
Yeah, I forgot their names, but I remember it's 25, 26, and 27.
And that's their numbers are representative of the experiment.
What I think, and I can't remember. I wish I could remember, but at the end of the movie when you're seeing basically the memories of Akira, you're like in that weird white vortex thing, and you're seeing his memories. I thought what happened was there was a room full of a bunch of kids, and then it cut to just those three. So I don't know if the other kids got weeded out, but I assume they were number 25, 26, 27 of the experiment.
Yeah, I figured the other kids had died.
Probably.
And that maybe that initial explosion that actually opens the film, I should say that there's like, it looks like a nuke goes off.
Well,
and that's supposedly Akira dying.
That's Akira doing exactly what Tetsuo does at the end of this movie. I think they describe it. I read up on it. I think they described it as like transcendence, like achieving a transcendence level. So it's this outward explosion, but the government covered it up as if it's a nuclear bomb that was dropped and it was World War III or something like that.
Okay.
Because, you got to start a war.
I got to
cover up your
say,
experiments.
You guys were all talking about how you saw this movie when you were like 12 years old, and like watching it as a 32-year-old, I'm like, I couldn't pick it up at the first watch. Like I was definitely entranced by the film, but like there was so many things about it that I'm like, how did we get here? What is going on? So like I can only imagine what you were thinking when you were 12. Was it just the action of the film that really drew you in?
I think so. The blood and gore too.
Yeah, it was the
like
visual stuff. It was more of a visual thing, and I will say, like, I've seen this movie probably, I don't know, maybe 14 or 15 times at this point in my life, and like, just like every other film that we've reviewed for this podcast, that was a childhood favorite of mine. Like, I actually took the time to actually try to dissect the film, and there's definitely a lot more going on than I picked up on the first 15 times.
And that's what
it.
I will give it total credit for is like you can tell that there's a lot to the story, a lot of depth to the story of Akira, but you do need to watch it several times before you can really grasp what it is.
Yeah, this movie is definitely like an ogre.
A what?
An ogre. Yeah, ogres have layers.
Oh, you mean like onions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you say ogre?
Because that's what Shrek says.
Somebody hasn't seen... You don't know the animated classic Shrek?
That's not what we're talking about, guys?
Big fan of animation here.
Yeah. Wow. How long you been holding that one in? We've been doing this for 2 years. First time you dropped a Shrek
I
reference.
don't think that was the first Shrek reference I've dropped, but...
It could, yeah, you could have said something else. Yeah. I gotta say something. I've always been a little confused by Japanese sci-fi. It's always had that weird, like, you really gotta dig to try to figure out what the hell is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm trying to think about this. I've beaten Final Fantasy VII 8 times over. I still don't know what the fuck Genova is. Like, I know it's the bad guy at the end. I think it's Sephiroth's mother. I don't know. Like, I have no idea because I notice a lot of Japanese sci-fi, like Ghost in the Shell, still don't fucking understand it. Like, I don't know what...
Can somebody explain what Akira is for the audience? Because you really don't grasp what Akira is until closer to the end.
I don't even know if I still grasp what Akira is.
Well, I'll hear what you guys say.
Here's what I'm getting. Let me see if I'm right here, okay? They did an experiment on some kids. They turned them into psychics. One of the kids went not crazy, but like lost control.
Of his power, of his ability.
Lost control of his powers, blows up all of Tokyo. They lie, say it's World War III, okay? Now it's cyberpunk world, post-apocalyptic cyberpunk world, and, kids are running around. Then for some reason, Tetsuo almost hits one of the kids, and for some reason, Akira just out of nowhere kind of chooses him.
No. So... Akira was a child of the program,
right?
For sure, but they use the name Akira as kind of more of an umbrella kind of a name to describe this psychic ability that exists in every single human being. Okay. We're all born, and they state that Kai states that in the movie. We're all born with this power, and from what I gather is this government experiment using these drugs and shit is able to amplify it in people that happen to show or happen to have a stronger psychic ability than other people.
Okay.
So they use the drugs to bring it out of them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Akira is simply just this kind of it's grown to describe this force,
like a spiritual
and Tetsuo
force.
Is I'm guessing like he's a guy that it gets turned on, but he can't control it. But Kai is not. Kai is a girl that kind of gets it. It's like what underlying under her, and they're able to use it in her, and then she becomes kind of one of them.
I think Kai is just. I think she was just possessed more or less by them, and they used her. That's quite honestly one part of it that I don't fully understand, but they do make references towards the end about how Kai might have a stronger ability than everybody else. But essentially, the only reason it becomes active in Tetsuo, like I think it was always active in Tetsuo, but when he almost hits the kid, the government picks him up like, well, we're going to let's take care of this fucking kid that our experiment just almost killed. And in the process of running tests, discover that he does have the same kind of wavelength that the psychic kids have. So they decide to just keep him and throw him in the program.
Here's what I got.
Go for it.
I got that Akira was not just, like you said, it's an umbrella term, but I almost got it as it was a term for God and God particle.
Okay, because at the end, I feel like there's something going on there. Like, why does the girl keep cutting off her sentence with, what does she keep saying? It's like... And we're so close to, and then she cuts it off or something like that.
Yeah, the one said they were taking turns finishing the sentence. What did she say? I forgot what it is.
It's something where she alludes to, and one day we'll have it or something, or one day
because it's already begun.
Yeah,
yeah.
I alluded it. I thought the same thing, Cody.
Yeah, me
that
too.
somehow eventually they'll be able to, because the guy says something about it's the beginning of the universe or something, like the start of the universe. I'm thinking that one of these kids could supernova out or some shit and like create a universe, and maybe that's how the universe was created.
I kind of think that's what happens at the end. I kind of think what happens to Tetsuo, like Tetsuo loses complete and total control, and then his finally coming face to face with Akira allows him to transcend into a new universe, and that's what happens.
I just don't get it.
That outward explosion is the creation of a new universe.
I can watch Coley Mountain 8 times. I'll be like, get it immediately. This, I have no fucking idea what's going on.
Well, that's the thing is, like, I always took it as like is like they were trying to harness basically the power of the God particle as a weapon, and that's what they were developing these kids to basically
I think they're definitely developing them as weapons for sure.
You know, and I think even the scientist says something about the God particle.
He says something about like
he just says, you mean the power of a god. He describes what they have as the power of a god.
This might be wild, but I thought this the whole time I was watching the film. Does anybody here agree or feel like there was a element of Stranger Things that was influenced by Akira?
No, they actually
they say specifically Akira is one of the influences for the show.
Well, then I'm not retarded for thinking that. All right.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
So I was like, this has a lot of the same kind of themes.
That one. What's the other one? There's actually that
many.
movie that came out that is almost this movie to it. When I saw the trailer, I actually thought this is a live action Akira film. I can't remember the fucking name of it.
Looper was influenced by this. What else was?
Looper?
Chronicles was inspired by this.
Chronicles.
Yep, Looper was.
Jupiter Rising?
No.
What about
Jupiter Ascension?
Oh, The Matrix was actually.
Matrix was inspired by this as well.
What about Warcraft?
No, that was just inspired by a video game.
I'm just throwing stupid shit out there at this point.
Yeah, I'm still kind of, and then like there's the whole resistance, like there's the whole Star Wars thing going on where you get the resistance fighting, and then there's basically a mutiny in the government where the general basically says, you know, fuck the government, we're taking over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically.
They try to take his power away. There's that whole subplot going on too.
And what's up with everybody like really being into Akira? Like everybody knew about it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I feel like a god, like it almost means God. Like I thought they were looking at Tetsuo like Jesus.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Somebody else, I can't remember that. I wish I could give the guy credit. But somebody wrote that the reason that the people were idolizing Akira was because the first time Akira came, he destroyed the city, and from the ashes came a bigger and stronger and more vibrant city. So they view Akira as destruction for
rebirth,
a rebirth of the city, because the city, like they do a good job in this film of really like driving home that the city that all these characters exist in is a fucking cesspool. It's just full of like just shitty people now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like the Warriors.
Yeah, so they're looking at it as if Akira comes, all of this will be washed away and we can rebuild again and start fresh.
And by the way, they did a pretty bang up job for 30 years after destruction, like building that city up, because it was only 30 years, right?
Yeah.
But it looked like a complete city. Like 30 years later, I'm like, damn, how'd they get that done so fast?
Yeah.
Ingenuity.
Yeah.
No, all right.
The thirst for
Cyber.
rebuilding.
Matrix, cyber.
Civilization. I don't know.
Binary.
Well, that's the other thing too, is speaking, kind of going back to Akira and transcending and stuff like that, like the big reveal at the end that Akira is just like little bits and pieces in glass jars.
Yeah.
And it's still a conscious being.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he comes together again.
Yeah.
Sans a penis. No penis. He's a little dickless kid.
What?
I
missed that part of
anybody
the movie.
knows that? The three kids are like praying, and then he like kind of comes together, and he doesn't look. Maybe he doesn't have the Gray Hulk look, but he looks like a kid. And then he starts walking over there, but he's got no dick.
Maybe there's just some things you don't animate, I guess.
Maybe it's the
rape scene. Okay,
right. Rape scene. Okay.
Is that like kind of like a godly thing though? Like non-gender, like it's like non-gender.
Yeah, no, he's right.
I guess
He's right.
True.
Yeah. Alanis Morissette.
I think there is a dick version.
I don't think there's a dick version.
I think it's on Criterion, isn't it?
Well, that's the crazy thing about this film is this was up until 2014. This was the only animated film in the Criterion collection.
It's not a Criterion film at all.
It is.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it was released on Laserdisc as a Criterion film.
Oh, Laserdisc.
No, it's Pioneers owned the.
No, look it up.
You know what? I will.
Look it up.
I will, and I will admit defeat if I'm wrong.
2014, when Fantastic Mr. Fox came out, it was the only animated film that was in the Criterion
Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yep.
A true classic.
So one thing I'll say about the film
Google it,
that I didn't expect, because again, I didn't do any research or anything. I just wanted to go into it completely fresh without knowing any information, is I was shocked that this movie was made in 1988.
Really?
I thought that actually made the film better, because I was like, damn, this is like ahead of its time. Like totally ahead of its time.
From what I read, they didn't use any computer animated. This is all just hand-drawn.
And it's beautiful.
It really is.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
like the layering that they do with like the animation and the transparency.
I've always loved the streaks of the motorcycles at the beginning.
Yes.
So cool
all that
looking.
stuff, dude. Like
really cool.
I was shocked. I was like, this is really advanced, I feel like, for 1988.
And that motorcycle is badass. Everybody wants that motorcycle.
Oh yeah, I fucking would give anything for that motorcycle.
Would you?
Anything.
Anything?
Yeah, offer the motorcycle. I'll
Testicles.
yeah.
Done. Here's my testicles, sir.
Hey, wait! Where are you going?
Leave me alone!
Akira!
Tetsuo! Something wrong?
Akira! I don't know who that is!
All right, so let me ask you some questions here. Why is this a cult film? I get that it is a cult film, but why is this a cult film? What made this anime movie stand out above all the rest? Like, what gave it? Because this gave anime a resurgence in the 90s, because it was not very popular in the 90s, and then this movie hit, and poof, it was back.
I think. Honestly, I don't know if this is true. This is off the top of my head, but I'm wondering if it has something to do with the fact that cyberpunk was super cool around this time, and like this was a cyberpunk movie, kind of. Like it's kind of like a Japanese cyberpunk movie. Like it has a very Blade Runner feel to it.
Very hackers feel.
Yeah, very yeah. Like it's like not hackers, but I mean, you got me to say it though. You got me to say it. No, I don't know. Maybe it has to do with that, because in the 90s, that's when cyberpunk got early 90s. That's when cyberpunk got hot, right?
Yeah, it was becoming a trend.
Yeah,
I don't know. I can kind of see that. I can see that aspect. Everything I read keeps saying that when this movie came out, the things that it was absolutely praised for was the audio on it. The animation was, like Chris already said, how amazing it was. The animation really was like revolutionary style of animating the characters. Is from what I understand anyway. But yeah, the movie had like the Dolby soundtrack, and it was just a really big booming. The sound effects were on point. I think it was just overall a really complete film, and it is really responsible for like igniting that excitement for anime film in general in the West. That film really is what propelled so much interest. It brought the interest to the mainstream, I feel like.
Well, I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out, though. What about this film?
I think it's just so bizarre.
But if you think another thing too is like before. Okay, so in America, what had we been exposed to from anime? Like Voltron, like I think Transformers, like Speed Racer, like Astro Boy.
Yeah,
like those are kind of like the anime. We hadn't really had like an adult nowadays
realistic.
Yeah, nowadays like anime, you go into an anime and you're like, yeah, I might be seeing something R-rated or X-rated. I don't even know. But like at the time, I wonder if we didn't really see it that way.
Yeah.
Even if it was popular.
Yeah, from a first-time viewing standpoint, the things that I can pick out that would probably make it a cult film is, the adult themes. I mean, there's nudity, there's tons of violence. The action is basically nonstop in this film. It's very fast-paced, and the story is extremely deep. Like
it is real. Yeah. I think that's one of the I honestly, like, you guys and myself included. Like, me and Mike have seen this a bunch of times. Cody's seen it before. And yet we are still grasping at the whys and hows about this film. And I think that alone is enough to propel it into cult film status. Because it's just one of the things, like, have you fucking seen this movie? Like, what's it about? I didn't fucking know. You gotta watch it. It's fucking crazy. And like that's how it would build that momentum.
Everybody kind of takes something away from it a little differently when they watch it.
I think that's the mark of a great cult film.
Yeah, and it's great conversation because it's like, what did you get from it? Oh, I got this. Well, I didn't see that, but did you get this? No, I didn't see that. And yeah, I mean, all the great, I think, like really deep, well-written cult films, like, have that element to
Plus,
it.
There's something fun. There's something funny about this movie, like that. We talked earlier about like different animes that we've all kind of been experienced to, but this still. Just watching it, revisiting again, still to this day, this is the one anime that the whole time I'm watching the movie, I'm picturing this thing in live action and how fucking amazing it would be if it was in live action.
Haven't they been talking about that for like?
They have been talking about it for years.
DiCaprio I think has the rights to it.
He had the
now.
rights. I don't think he has them anymore.
Okay, yeah, because they were talking about him making the movie and actually playing.
That makes no sense.
Tetsuo?
That would make no sense.
Which I was like, no.
He's too old.
I think I'd be really scared to see this movie done in live action. I don't know that it would be able to pull off.
If done
some
right,
of the things.
If done right, with these things, like I haven't seen the Ghost in the Shell live action. I haven't seen that yet. But from what I saw from the trailers, it looked like they stayed really, really pure and true to the anime in terms of like visually. That's like the only way you could really pull it off is if you stayed really fucking close
like
to that.
Dragon Ball Evolution.
I was gonna say, or you could do really bad like Dragon Ball Evolution, which was just a shit show.
Yeah, some things just shouldn't be remade.
But I would like to believe that whoever does take on the fucking gauntlet of creating this film live action is going to do it justice because there's so many people that are dedicated to this film that like. You'd have to, and I don't know how you could skate around any of this.
That's the problem. You'll never be able to make one complete because it's one of these movies that just has so much fanfare attached to it.
Well,
like you'll never be able to satisfy anyone.
Like Attack on Titan or something like that. They're making is that a live action movie they're making?
I thought that was an animated movie.
I've never seen that, by the way. But I mean, I know.
I haven't either. It does. Look
I know
interesting.
people lost their shit when they were like, "Oh my god!" Like it's a possibility.
It's the one thing I will say that kind of hurts this movie for me at least is that it is a solid 2 hours. I think it's like 2 hours and 4 minutes is the runtime, and credits hit at 2 hours and 1 minute.
I think it drags in a few places too.
It does drag.
Yeah. If I had that's definitely a criticism I have on the film. I think we kind of talked about it earlier too. Was there's just so many subplots going on, like the subplot with the corrupt political guy who was kind of feeding the information to the guys that are trying to break into the facility and stuff. Like, honestly, this is the first time watch this movie that I realized that short little dude was sitting at the round table. I always just figured he was the guy in charge of this group, but he had no association with the politics of Neo Tokyo at all. So at the end, when the tank is trying to bust through his house, I just thought, oh, they found out that he's the ring leader. I never actually realized that he's part of the political system and the whole coup de grace that's happening. That's why they're trying to break into his house. I never noticed that. And if you watch that scene, if you fucking blink, you miss the fact that he's sitting at that table. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those subplots that doesn't even exist.
And he's part of he's also running the rebellion with that dude with the mustache.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That rebellion. Yeah. I couldn't think of the word, but yeah. I thought that subplot could easily have been removed from the film, and it would have saved some time for sure. Like, if the rebellion was just... All I needed to know was that there was a group of 5 or 6 people who are rebelling against this government program. I would have been fine with it. I don't need to know that this guy sits on the council and he's like, feeding them information. He's kind of fueling the rebellion. That could have been cut out and saved so much time. There was just little bits like that just, and it didn't pay off anyway. Even when you find out what the whole deal was, it didn't pay off and help the plot along in any way.
No, I agree. I agree with that. And there's something about this movie that drags a little bit that I feel like hurts it. And I don't know if it's so many subplots or...
I think it is the subplots, and I think it's the way they're interjected into the story. Like, they just kind of come out of nowhere at certain points, and you're like, what the fuck is going on now? And then it disappears, and you're like, all right, well, now we're back with Kaneda, and his story, and you're like, all right, now I'm back in it again, and then it jumps over to something else, and you're like, well, did I miss a piece here?
It would have
Like,
been
what's going
perfect
on?
if it was basically Kaneda and Tetsuo's story mixed in with the rebellion as well, and then those two opposing story, those two stories then come together towards the end of the film, and it would have been good. But there was just a bunch of extra ancillary shit peppered in the film that just kind of helped to mostly drag it back.
And I don't know if this is just me, but does anybody else have a hard time connecting to animated characters?
I didn't.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
I do.
For me, I probably connect more to animated characters than I do real life
well,
people.
You love Belial, so
I did. But I'm the type of person that will cry my fucking eyes out at a Pixar film, like, and I have cried at a lot of Miyazaki films too because of that too. But when I watch an anime, I get tear up pretty easily.
I guess I just have a hard time because I'm just like, I know they're not real people, so like, you know what? I don't know. I just have a hard time connecting with animated. Like, I have a hard time connecting with animated characters, and
see, for me, it really comes down to how well that story's written and how well that character is written, and especially when it comes to anime, how well the voice acting is.
Yeah.
And this. It's interesting. I think everyone here watched the same dub version. If you watch it on Amazon, we all saw the same dub version. There's an original dub version prior to Pioneer releasing the film in like 90 or something. And I went on YouTube just because I wanted to see what it's like and watch it. And the dubbing is so bad. I personally think it's so bad. There's no emotion or anything. And this film is actually praised for the amount of emotion that the voice actors put into it, which is why I can connect to a character.
There's a few though that are I felt like were
in this one
dragging.
Yeah.
In terms of like the dubbing or
there's
the
no
voiceover
dragons in this film.
no dragging. I meant just like weak spots in it. There's a few characters I was like, dude, you're overacting the shit out of this.
Like those are characters you probably just some of them you can cut out.
Like the scientist was one of them where I was kind of like, I'm not really into this dude.
I feel like when Tetsuo gets his power and he starts turning corrupt and kind of evil, like you're supposed to feel for him, like, oh no, this is happening to him, poor guy. And I never feel that way.
Well, this is the problem. This is my main problem with the film, and it's only the first watch, so it could change if I see it again. But I couldn't understand why Kaneda was so attached to Tetsuo that no matter what the dude did or no matter how much havoc he created, he was still trying to help and save him. And I get it's like the buddy friend thing. They grew up together, all this stuff. But like there was a point where I was like, bro, like this guy's fucking alpha's rocker, dude. Like he's going to destroy everything. What are you doing?
Imagine if that happens to like
Cody.
Like, yeah, okay. Leo, out of nowhere, he just like fucking loses his mind and he's just like
it happens all the time.
No, but I mean like you would probably still feel
I didn't understand I didn't understand the drive that he had to. That was his one mission. Really, was to get to him and save him.
Well,
like
they try to fill that in because at the end when Kaneda gets sucked into the white light, he's first living all of Tetsuo's memories, and all the memories are of ever since they were like children together in like the same orphanage school thing. That they've always been best friends, and Kaneda's always looked out for Tetsuo as a brother and treated him as a brother, and feels like they're actually brothers and family. So it's more of I think that drive to want to protect him and save him, I think is more of a brotherly thing than it is a friend thing.
I can say, like, honestly, ever since me and Chris have been in that orphanage school, and we grew up together and we've been like brothers, if he started fucking exploding people with his mind, I'd be like, well, okay, we got to put this motherfucker down.
There are some things I wish there was actually more of that, of them in the orphanage. That is a part that I actually do feel like there's a disconnect too, because I'm like, I don't get it. Like, like I want to see more of that so that when Tetsuo actually does die or i.e. ascend into wherever the fuck he goes, that you do feel like there's a loss there. The other thing I don't understand is when they're battling in the Olympic arena thing.
Why he turns into a giant baby?
No.
I have an answer for that.
At that moment, Kaneda is trying to shoot him with a fucking laser and kill him.
Yeah.
And I understand that he makes a point to say, like, well, if anybody's going to kill him, we're going to kill him.
Yeah.
But, like, he jumps back and forth from that real quick. Like, I'm going to be the one that kills him. And then all of a sudden he starts kind of exploding. He's like, maybe I can save him now. It's like, Really? He's a giant fucking baby.
Yeah,
I think
he's trying to kill his chick, bro. You gotta protect your chick.
I think I don't know. I think that has more to do with like let's talk about the baby thing because I found that the most interesting. And the reason he becomes a baby, so basically what happens to his body is he gets his arm cut off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he uses his psychic powers to basically reconstruct a metal arm. Well, part of his psychic abilities is a complete and total control of his body. So regenerating stuff or whatever if he needs to. But as that power gets unlocked, it's the same time that he completely and totally loses control of his powers. So then his body is just replicating itself upon itself, upon itself, upon itself. And he becomes this gelatinous fucking blob of flesh. And it's only at that point when Tetsuo, throughout the entire film, is this, I'm powerful, I'm taking control, I'm going to be the boss now. It's at that point where he realizes that he loses control, that he becomes like, he resorts back to being scared, being weak, and his body takes on the form of a child because I think mentally he's back into the place of being a child.
That's interesting.
That's why Kanada's like, holy fuck, this is my friend.
Well, he it's also the one time that he asks Kanada for help again.
Yeah, exactly.
He says, help me, and it's just like, it's just such a, for me, it's still very weird because I felt like there would be a moment where Kanada would be like, stop this, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
When he's like trying to shoot him with the laser and kill him off.
Well, he shouts that when he's stuck inside him. He's like, stop this, Tetsuo, stop it now.
No, I know that, but I'm talking about when they're fighting at the thing, and I understand it's like that seemed like a very sibling rivalry fight.
Yeah.
Like, because it's almost like a joke, the way they're going back and forth. Like, especially when he shoots him and it goes right through him, and he's just like, no, it's not fair, that's stupid. Like, that sounds like something a kid would say to their brother, where he's just like, no, you said the rules were like this. Well, I can change the rules. I'm the big brother.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
I definitely agree with that, too. I definitely got that from it, so.
You guys got way more than I did, so let's take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk more about Akira.
What's wrong? Have some trouble?
Yeah, but I already took care of it. And you're too late. You missed the show.
Tetsuo, you had me worried again. I figured you'd be standing here sobbing like a little baby.
Kaneda, you've always been a pain in the ass, you know. You've been telling me what to do since we were kids. You always treat me like a kid. You always show up and start bossing me around, and don't you deny it!
And now you're a boss, too. Of this pile of rubble.
Kaneda!
That's Mr. Kaneda to you, punk!
All right, guys, we're back, and it's all good because we're talking about Akira tonight. Let's get into some of our favorite characters. Anyone have any favorite characters they would like to share?
I really like the Colonel.
I do too.
I like the Colonel because I think he's a bad guy at first, but then he kind of turns into a good guy.
And then turns back into a bad guy?
I don't think he ever is a bad guy.
I don't think so either, but he does come across that way.
I think it's just your natural, it's your natural thought to think he's like a Thunderbolt Ross or some shit, like the bad
anti-hero.
When he started showing compassion for like the kids and stuff like that, I was like, okay, like this guy's cool. And then like when he sort of when he basically, we were talking about the scene earlier where he's like,
takes over.
Yeah, he takes over and he's like, basically fuck the government. Like we're running my show right now. And I was like, yeah.
Was anybody else like waiting for him to grab a guy into a pile driver and jump up in the air and spin
all day long? Yeah,
and then crush him down?
I thought he was. I thought he was gonna.
He kind of looked like Zangief a little bit.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna take on. I thought he was gonna take on the Mad Gears at and. God damn, I'm doing a lot of video game references tonight.
Yeah, you are.
Good for you.
No, I would say that's probably one of my favorite characters too. Anybody else?
I love Kaneda.
Yeah,
he's always been my favorite. I think he's cool. He's kind of a douche some of the film, but I guess I really connect with like his connection to his friend Tetsuo.
See,
He's
I
almost
think
like his brother.
That's why I have a hard time connecting with these kids that I'm supposed to like because they're all kind of fucking douchey dirtbags.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all gang. Yeah,
Well,
they're
how
all.
about that scene when they like rip the girl's top off and like
That was another gang. That was a rival gang.
But I feel like it wasn't like handled appropriately. I feel like they were just like, get out of here, shut up, like go away, get away from me. And I'm like, this girl just basically almost got raped, dude. Like
she got beat up and
she got beat
punched
up.
in the face,
Yeah, she
like-
got her fucking top ripped off, and then the dude just fucking sucker punched her right in the nose.
Like, whoa, dude.
Like, god damn.
Didn't see that coming.
Haven't we had this conversation so many times? What is it? Every single cult film's got to have some kind of rape scene in it.
It's got to have it.
I think that's because that's horrific. I think people try to,
I always do. It's one of those cheap.
Yeah,
I did like the kid
it
that
is.
was the Hulk
shots.
villain.
The what?
The Hulk villain, the kid that had like the little floating chair. I forgot what the Hulk villain's name is, but he's in the Hulk and he's a villain. He's got a big brain.
Yeah.
So
like MODOK.
answer me this about those three kids, like the three main psychic kids. Are they old looking because of the medication they're on?
That's what I gathered.
That's how. That's what I took from it. Is that it prematurely aged them, but it stunted their growth at the same time.
Huh, interesting.
Because because keep in mind they were in the program 30 years ago when Tokyo first blew up with Akira.
He looks all right. They look all right.
They're normal kids then. Yeah.
Anyone have any favorite scenes?
Yeah, I'll start because that fucking when Tetsuo first breaks out of his hospital room and he's in the hallway and there's like a bunch of security guards there telling him he's got to get back in his room, and he just like, I don't know what he fucking does. He like flexes his brain and like the whole hallway like is like this sphere and all of the guys just turn to liquid fucking flesh and just get sprayed across the room. That's a fucking crazy cool
I like
scene.
that scene too. I like it.
No, I would say that's probably my favorite too. Anytime there was like some kind of like psychic violence on
There was
on screen,
so
I was
much
pretty
blood and
pretty much
gore in this
into it.
movie.
That's what I'm saying is like I need to go back for a second watch to really pick out a favorite scene because I feel like every scene to me was a spectacle.
Can I just say something? We need to get this thing back with gangs where they're dedicated to a certain look. You know?
Like the Warriors.
Like the Warriors, yeah.
Exactly.
Gangs in real life need, like
they need a look.
Yeah, the baby doll gang or something like that.
Yeah, they need a theme. That's
they
what
need a
theme.
theme.
They need a theme.
You're not a real gang unless you have a theme. Colors don't mean anything anymore to me.
You need a theme.
No, I need a physical theme.
Yeah, if you're going to be taken seriously, we need you to dress up like characters.
Yeah. We need cosplay gangs is what we
Cosplay
need.
Yeah, we need more cosplay. Baseball Furies, the clowns.
If you're really going to be scared, you got to be more theatrical.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's the only way someone's gonna take you seriously.
Yeah.
Well, people have done that shit. The fucking clown thing is real, dude. The clowns and shit.
That's not really like.
I'm glad
that's not like an
fad's-
organized gang.
I'm glad that
You know
fad's
what?
died.
Juggalos are not gang members, guys. Can we please establish that? And it's wrong to say that they are.
You might be insulting some people out there, Mike.
I'm on the Juggalo side, everybody. Please.
All right, guys, let's rate this bad boy. What are we going to rate it?
Chris, if it's possible, I want to rate it Kanada's motorcycle.
Yeah, I think we could do that.
Boom, Kanada's motorcycle.
Let's do it. Motorcycles
With the Canon logo on it. Are we gonna get in trouble for
That's
that?
so fucking cool. The fucking Canon logo on it.
BMW logo on it.
Yeah.
I'll go first this time around. Man, I'm still at a loss. I think I know what I'm going to rate this. I will say this first and foremost: the animation is beautiful. Soundtrack is amazing. This is a piece of art. It really is, and I think the story is too. Man, I just don't get it, and that kind of hinders my rating for it, and not because I don't want to say the rating is hindered because I don't get it. But it's not a clear enough story for me to go like, this is so magical. So with that being said, I will say this needs to be watched by film lovers in general. Even if you don't like anime, watch this film because it is a film first and foremost. It doesn't matter if it's animation or not. And I will have to give this a 3.5. I'm borderline 4. I just think I need to rewatch it to maybe give it a 4 to go, in a couple of parts for me to give it that rating. But I'll give it a 3.5. Let's go with Mike next.
Going into this, when Kyle said, "Yo, let's do Akira," I was like, "Fucking 2.5, solid 2.5 for me." Like, it's a film that I've seen, like I said, like maybe 4 or 5 times. Never got it, you know. But that's what I like about this show. You get to go into it and you get to look at it from like a more of an analytical viewpoint, you know, not just from like, oh man, Akira again, it's slow in some places or whatever. So with that, I almost went to a 3 after seeing it. I was like, yeah, I gotta give it a 3. It's solid, you know, solid visuals. Still don't get the story though.
I feel like Mike's about to pull a Sergeant Kabuki man on me.
I don't do the same joke twice. No, after the show though, changing my mind, I'm gonna give it a 3.5. It really is visually a beautiful film by any regard, you know, throughout any genre. Yeah, it's slow. It could, maybe a half an hour chopped off would have been nice. It could use some work. I feel like there are certain places where I feel like it needs some work, but I feel like sometimes like that's a lot of anime. Like they don't like stress, like sometimes when they just want to show like a connection, they just show them like hanging out like at a concert or something, and that's enough for you, you know?
Yeah.
But where it lacks in story, still, it's such a beautiful film, and there's some badass scenes in it. So, yeah, I'm going to give it a 3.5 motorcycles, 1 unicycle, and 3 motorcycles.
Chris? Is that the front of the bike or the back of the bike?
I don't know.
We got to get that Canon logo in there, so the front.
Yeah.
As a first-time watcher and not an avid anime watcher, I was very nervous going into this, and I also had heard that it was a very long movie. So, you know, we all know that Chris is famous for falling asleep during films. But honestly, I did not fall asleep during this film. I watched it from start to finish very intently, and I really liked the film. I could be the first to admit that I don't fucking know what this movie is truly about, and I probably won't know until I watch it several more times, and even then I may never know, but that's okay. And to me, it's like I know there's something there. I know that the story was written with a purpose, and I know that it wasn't just meant to be a visual spectacle, although it was. I loved almost every scene that I watched. The animation was beautiful. I did find myself being connected to the characters in a certain way, maybe not emotionally, but interested enough to follow along their journey. So I'm going to have to give this a 4.5. I think this film it's a great film. And while I might not understand it completely, it is one that I would go back and watch again, like a Holy Mountain, to rediscover things that I missed, because I know there's definitely some things in there that I missed. And I would definitely recommend it to anybody, even if you're not into anime, because it gives you something that you've never seen before. And I do like the whole spiritual element, if that's what that is there. And yeah, just check it out. I mean, you know, it's a commitment, but it's worth it.
Kyle.
Yeah, Akira. I was really nervous suggesting this film for this podcast, and I had talked about it for a few months about picking it, but I didn't know how everybody in the group would take it, knowing Chris's personal background when it comes to film and anime, and Cody. I'm impressed by everyone at this table right now, and you know what? The movie deserves it, I think. It really is such a deep, well-written film. I know it's well-written. I might not get it like everybody else, but I know that there is just so much going on that brings me back to the movie and keeps me watching it. As I started out as a child, watch this movie for the fact that it was so visually pleasing, and as I get older, the more I watch it, I start to unravel a little bit by bit of the story that's involved. Yeah, you know what? There is certainly scenes in this movie that there's subplots that I think you can easily cut out of it, and it wouldn't detract from the film. It would just only serve to kind of speed up the film and keep you more engaged in the story of Kaneda and Tetsuo. I think this movie is a story about like brothers and friendship and how that gets put to the test. And I fucking love it. So I'm gonna give it a 5.
Ooh, shit. Thought Chris was going to give it the highest. Go see it. Go see it. I couldn't recommend this movie more to, and everybody at this podcast table recommends it as well. And I agree with Cody 100%. If you're a film lover, I think you just need to see this movie because this movie has elements of Stanley Kubrick in it. It's got elements of Christopher Nolan in it. It's got bunch of other fucking things we've mentioned. I can't even think right now. Stranger Things. If you like that show, you'll definitely see the correlation between that show and this film. So by all means, check it out.
There you go, guys. That's our show for this week. I did want to say, I want to give an update. Breaking news here.
Breaking news?
Yeah, we did get another review.
Oh, in the time that we started recording till now?
They did not. If they did write something, it's not posted yet, but the star rating is there. It is another 5-star review, so thank you for whoever did that, mystery person.
Yeah.
We really appreciate that. If it does pop up, we'll put it on next week's show. If you wrote something, sorry, iTunes is kind of slow with that stuff, but the rating is there, so we appreciate that. Thank you for filling that out for us.
Yes, thank you.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so shout out to Question Mark.
Got out until next week.
Yeah. So we really appreciate that, guys. Make sure you do that for us. You can check us out on social media at cultfilm_review on Instagram and Twitter. You can also follow us on Facebook. You can follow Kyle at.
You can follow me on Instagram at cultfilm_Kyle.
You can follow Chris
at cultfilm_Chris on Instagram.
And you can follow Mike
at Mike Salustio on Twitter.
And you can follow me at VHS Collect on Instagram. All right, guys, that's our show for this week. Remember, if you're going to join a cult, just make sure they watch good movies. See you next time.